Hello, today I want to take a look at another problem involving fractions and look at how to solve this equation that has fractions in it by actually eliminating the fractions. Now to do this you need to remember that step one is always to eliminate the parentheses by distributing. So the first step I'm going to take here is I am going to distribute the 1/3 to the 2x plus 1. So 1/3 times 2x is going to give me a 2x over 3 plus the 1/3 times the 1, make sure you always distribute to both terms, is going to give me a 1/3. And that's going to equal, and I do the same thing on the right hand side, 1/4 times 3x is going to give me a 3x over 4 minus the 1/4 times the 2/3 is going to give me, now 1 times 2 is 2 and 4 times 3 is 12. Now, this particular fraction I could choose to leave in this form, or I could choose to simplify it. I'm going to choose to leave it as a 12 this time because I also know in the end the 12 is going to actually make it a little bit easier. But again, if you wanted to simplify it into 1/6, because again 2 over 12 does reduce to 1/6, you could do that. Now step 2 is going to involve eliminating the denominator here. And to do that, we want to multiply both sides by the lowest common denominator, or the LCD. Now it's very important when you're looking at the equation that you look at all the terms. And since we don't have any parentheses, that's very easy. I have 4 terms in this equation. The lowest common denominator here ends up being 12. And that's part of the reason I went ahead and left that 12 that we had in the 2/12. Now I'm going to multiply both sides by 12 over 1. Now remember, when we do that, that means each of the terms is going to be multiplied by that. So you might want to write that out separately. So I'm going to have 12 over 1 times 2x over 3 plus 12 over 1 times 1/3, and that's going to equal 12 over 1 times 3x over 4 minus 12 over 1 times 2 over 12. So you'll notice each term I have multiplied by 12 over 1. And sometimes seeing that step can be very, very helpful. Now I'm going to take a look at each of these and try to simplify them. Now 12 times 2x over 3, I could actually do some cross-reducing first. So 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 12 4 times. That is always going to happen, and you'll see that pattern as we go through the problem. 4 times 2x is 8x plus, and now I'm going to look at these two fractions. Notice once again, 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 12 4 times. 4 times 1 is 4. And that's equal to, now I look at the next two fractions. Again, notice 4 goes into 4 once, 4 goes into 12 3 times. 3 times 3x is going to give me 9x. And now I have minus, and I can look at these two fractions over here as well. So 12 goes into 12 once, 12 goes into 12 once, and over here I'm left with the 2. So if you look carefully at the pattern that emerged here, notice that I was able to cross-reduce with the denominators in each set of fractions, and each time it gave me a 1. That's the whole reason I choose to multiply by the lowest common denominator. Once I have integer values, it's much easier to solve. So many of you like to have the variable on the left-hand side, so I'm going to go ahead and solve it that way this time. So I'm going to subtract 9x from both sides. That's going to give me a negative 1x plus 4 is equal to negative 2. Now to solve, subtract 4 from both sides, and we get negative 1x is equal to negative 6. But remember, we don't want to know what negative 1x equals. We want to know what x equals. So I take it one step further, divide both sides by negative 1, and x is equal to 6. And there is the solution. Whoops, there's the solution to that particular problem. And again, going through all the steps that we've talked about. So let's briefly review. Again, if there are parentheses in the equation, eliminate the parentheses by distributing, so you only have terms. Next, find the lowest common denominator of all 4 terms. In this case, that was 12. Multiply each term by that 12, and you then have a very nice basic equation to solve, which is one that you are used to solving and should be able to solve at this point in time. I hope this helps with dealing with equations with fractions in them.